Hey YouTube, Bear Prepper here. I was asked from one of my subscribers on how to do chili, and I recommend that you do your meat and tomato in one and your beans in another. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to can my beans. So what I have here is 4 pounds of kidney beans. I prefer kidney beans in chili. So all I've done is I've put in 4 pounds. I don't know if you can even see that. Maybe. I put in 4 pounds of chili beans, kidney beans, into a pot and covered them with water. Probably about 75% more water than beans. And I'm going to let that set overnight because I prefer the slow method. There's no sense in wasting money when sitting overnight is going to do. I also today finished cooking down my tallow. I combined it with that ground beef tallow that I made 3 or 4 weeks ago, and this was the corned beef brisket, or the beef brisket fat that I went ahead and cooked down. And as you can see, I got about a gallon. This is a pickle jar. I got about a gallon tallow, so I'm just about ready to start making my soap. Just got to pick up my temperature gauges so that I can make sure the lye and the tallow at the same temp. Also today, I've cooked some wheat bread. I made a baguette and 4 loaves of bread today, so it has been a very productive day. My son still hasn't moved my crock. I just stirred it yesterday. I ended up having to tape it down because of the dogs, and I got rid of the big soda jar. Let me see if I can get this off. Big soda jar. And did some mason jars. And so about every 3 or 4 days you're going to come in here and you're going to, before you touch anything, you're going to skim all that floating stuff off except the garlic. What happens is as the brine gets in there, any little bits of fat that were left on will start floating to the top. So just skim those off before you ever pull the plate out and move your meat around. So I'm going to do that, and we'll see you later. Okay, it's the next morning, and I've rinsed my beans, and then I've filled the pot up with water, about double what the beans take up, and then I removed all the floaters. And the reason you do that is because the floaters usually have something wrong with them, or they could, and so you just pull them out. There's usually not many. And then I'm going to bring this to a boil, and I'm going to cook it for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to start processing it. Alright, we've gotten to the point where we're going to can. And what I have here is I have my jars and my funnel, and you need your lids soaking in boiling water, your jar lifter, and your magnetic wand to get the lids out. What I've done here is I've rinsed the beans with very hot water just for a moment, and I've got my pressure canner on the stove getting heated up. I've got 2 things of water here. In the first one I use 2 tablespoons of salt. In the one in the back, because it's almost a gallon of water, I've used 5 tablespoons. And then over here I am actually using my American Standard cookbook for the directions on how to do it. So if that's what you're using and you've got it in your pressure canner cookbook, go ahead and use that. So let me set you down before you get dizzy, and let's continue to fill. And so all I'm doing is I'm putting my kidney beans in, and it's probably about 3 cups, 2.5. And you just want to fill it to right below that bottom rim on the jar. Now remember, these have cooked for 30 minutes on the stove to do the pre-cooking, so they're not going to expand much. And the reason you don't cook them completely is because then you'll have mush for kidney beans. And you don't want to put them in there raw because, you know, you'd have to judge, and maybe a quarter of a jar would turn out to be a full jar, and so you would just have a mess because the brine would be everywhere. Almost done. So this is 4 pounds of kidney beans, and it looks like we've made 13 jars. Yeah, about 13 jars with 4 pounds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our brine and we're going to fill up the jars to the lower lip. Remember, this is salt water. And I'll probably be messy here because I'm trying to stay out of the camera's way. And these are just like the canned ones you buy in the store. So when you're doing your chili, you just open up a can of your chili you make, and open up a can of your kidney beans, mix them together, and you've got chili. If you want chili dogs for hot dogs, you just open the chili. If you want some wonderful kidney beans in your salad, then open up 1 kidney bean. Remember, if you have any left over, you must store it in the refrigerator. That one was a little high. Whooshka. Hot. Let me switch hands. Hopefully I'm not in your way. It's really not too bad a process. I just soaked them overnight, rinsing them a few times, and then boiled them for 30 minutes. So at this point, turn these off. You want to wipe your rims. And you're just making sure that there's nothing on the lip that would prevent the seal. And since this is just water and salt is already melted, the likelihood of something being on there is very small, but always wipe it just to make sure. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our lids on. Now, one of the things I like to do with my lids, you see how I've got 2 here? I always try to turn them opposite directions when I put them in the jug so that they come apart really easy, instead of having to pull them apart like those, and then you get water all over. I'll just slap these on. Always prepare more jars than you think you need. So this is good to know that it's 13 jars. So if you're going to do a 4-pound bag of kidney beans, you only need 13 jars. The only problem is they sell them in 12. So the other choice you have is just can 12 of them. So that way you're doing a single case, and then finish cooking the rest of them in a smaller pot and use them for dinner. You could probably, at that point, when you're making your chili, just throw that one in for your dinner that night. And pull out a cup of the sauce. Now, I'm not putting them on hand tight right now because the little lids are kind of flopping everywhere. So I will tighten them down hand tight as I put them into the pressure can. Now remember, you must pressure can beans. There's not enough acidity in the beans to water bath can.